another episode of Easy Talk for Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Alicia Hill, and today we have the Dr. Bobby Myers here to chat with us about his entrepreneurial journey. Dr. Bobby Myers is the CEO of James Chiropractic, where he boasts an impressive 20-year journey as a wellness and spinal health expert. Throughout his career, Dr. Myers has remained unwavering in his commitment to enhancing the health and overall well-being of individuals through natural, non-invasive approaches. With two conveniently located offices around the city of Memphis, specifically in the Whitehaven and Cordova office areas, Dr. Myers offers a comprehensive range of specialized services. Dr. Myers is a Memphis native, a Christian Brothers University CBU grad, go Buccaneers. Beyond his in-person patient care, Dr. Myers can be found sharing invaluable health and wellness insights on the airways of 1070 WDIA alongside the Bev Johnson. Dr. Myers is an advocate for all continual learning and investments in the human body. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Biology from CBU, a Doctor of Chiropractic from the Life University, and certifications from the National Board of Chiropractors. Additionally, he possesses certifications in physical therapy and fitness consulting. Dr. Myers remains at the forefront of the field, staying updated on cutting-edge technology, health research, and natural approaches to help his patients live longer, healthier lives. Let's welcome to the show, Dr. Bobby Myers.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and just blessed to have this opportunity to share with you all some of the things that I've learned through my experience and just excited for this experience.
Thank you so much. And I know that our audience cannot wait to hear more about your success and how you became to be. So I did read your bio, but could you just share just a little bit more about yourself and give us a fun fact about Dr. Bobby Myers?
I always say that I grew up a little bit on both sides of the world. My mother is one of 12 and my dad is one of 12, and I'm the only child. My parents were very, very country with how they ate. They just had very humble beginnings, and watching my parents work hard and valuing the things that they valued, they just poured into me different things. Being the only black in my class from kindergarten through 4th grade, I used to go home crying, wondering why kids didn't like me or why they said different things. And my dad would always just tell me, be black and be proud, know who you are. And they did a very good job of just building and instilling self-confidence into myself and knowing who I was. And honestly, I think that those are the things that I didn't really think that were valuable back then, but I think that hold a lot more weight with me right now. I think that I'm very confident within myself in making decisions. At the same time, a lot of decisions are my first time making those decisions, but I can almost close my eyes and I can think about what my dad would say to me, and that kind of helps guide me through different times in my life.
Wow, that is awesome. That's pretty deep, and to have such a great dad like you had, you can definitely tell how over the years he has instilled himself in you and really leaving a legacy. So
he did. I will say, coming from a 2-parent household, never saw myself any different from anyone. Going to church every Sunday. My dad was over the sick and shut-ins. There were times after church that we would go and visit people in the hospital. And again, I didn't know really what I was doing. I was just with my dad and didn't know that I had a strong love and a strong desire just for people. My mother worked too. She worked at the mall, so she worked into the service industry. And when you work in the service industry in the mall, you just have to learn how to deal with all different kinds of people. Some of those people may have more money, some people have not as much money. My mom every day still gave the same amount of service to everyone. And so I think that I just take pride in just helping people and not looking at their quality of life or not looking at where they come from and just trying to give them what they need.
Wow, that leads into a great question I have for you. So where do you think your success came from? Is it your operational excellence? Is it the great education that you got? Or could it be your love for people that people kind of draw to you that has made you as successful as you are today? Where would you say that success comes from?
I think it's definitely the love for people. I will definitely say that I've always been a people person. Some of that was not by choice. I think that growing up in the church and having good parents, I think that growing in the church, having to do speaking engagements, having an Easter speech, singing in the church choir, doing those little things, I think at a very young age, kind of got me out of the box. Because those were things that I probably would not have done on my own.
Right.
So if it really wasn't my parents pushing me, or even my church supporting me, I definitely don't think that I would be here today. So I would definitely say probably my bedside manners. I think that I always wanted to treat people with respect, and I always want to treat people the same way that I want to be treated.
And you know, whenever someone refers a doctor to you, it's like, oh, I need to see a doctor, or would you go to so-and-so? What did you hear? The first thing they always say is, oh, he's got good bedside manners.
That's right.
That's just kind of something common that everybody always say about doctors. So your love for people and your bedside manner definitely go hand in hand.
To kind of piggyback on that, I think that I feel that when it comes down to my health and it comes down to my money, I want to deal with people that I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think bedside manner is just one of those things. I think people have intuition. I think they can kind of tell when someone's trying to game them, or they can tell when someone's trying to hustle them, and you can tell when somebody really has a deep concern for their well-being.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that I've never had to sell myself. I think that the person kind of just picks up on the vibe that this person is here for me.
Yeah, and that's truly important. So one of my questions I have for you that I've been just itching to ask you, over the past 20 years, you've learned from other doctors, you've learned about medicine and practice and how to treat people. What has been that thing that, since the world has changed so much, we've got social media, society has changed so much, I can imagine that over 20 years you've seen a shift in your entrepreneurial journey and how you've had to do things. Tell the audience about something that you traditionally learned that you had to do in your practice as an entrepreneur, but you're now having to unlearn because it's just not like that anymore.
Yes, I would probably say social media, and I'm gonna kind of go a little twofold. One of the things that my dad taught me was the value of being a man. My dad was the type that he did business with shaking a person's hand, looking them in the eye.
Yeah.
My dad didn't do a lot of contracts with signing, and I think in today's society, you have to get things signed and documented. People today, their word, unfortunately, does not mean the same as it did, 30, 40 years ago.
It was like your word is your bond.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. That was the old saying.
And so the good thing about relationships, you just kind of respect and hope people do the best thing and the right thing. But I will say that there are people out there that they know right from wrong, and they also know the loopholes to get away with certain things that they know that are not right.
Yeah.
And I think having a good heart and you wanting to help different people that you know, family members, as well as friends, I think that I've learned how to separate the business from the personal, and making sure that I follow through with those things. Social media is one of those things that was kind of hard for me because I was a private person. I kind of believed in whatever you do inside your house, you just kind of kept into your house.
Yes.
And social media is about everyone visualizing and seeing exactly what you're doing. So I had a hard time the first couple of years. I had a hard time because with COVID going on, you can't get out and do a lot of speaking events, or you can't do a lot of health fairs, or being in the
networking kind of died.
It does. So the only thing you really have is Zoom. And the only thing you have is radio. And so you want to make your patients feel very safe and also know what's going on. So we started to implement some social media. Feel free to follow me on social media. My office social media Instagram is James Chiropractic, and my Instagram for my personal self is Backfixer, BACKFXR. and you'll see the different things that we're doing in the community. But I would tell you again, it was something that for the first couple of years I was very hesitant with, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cheesy. Oh, that's just not me. And then,
too much information.
Yeah, too much information. I was like, nobody really wants to hear this. Nobody wants to see this. And then slowly I started to pick up on it and started to understand that the quality of the content, the material, is what people are looking at. So it's been a blessing for me, and it's also allowed me to actually reach people in a wider audience than just the Memphis area. Now we have clients that are flying from all over, coming to the office, and it's something that I never imagined or never dreamed to really happen. Just very happy that COVID did happen. It kind of challenged my thinking process, and it made me step out the box, something that I was uncomfortable with, and made me get out there, and that was working for me.
And I see you on social media. I follow you myself, and I see you traveling the world doing all type of sports engagements, soccer, and different things in different countries. And so because of your social media, people can reach you wherever, and you're able to go and build connections and network, whereas 10, 20 years ago, that wasn't possible.
I totally
So
agree.
having to unlearn the privacy to say, I could turn this into a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And funny with saying that is, now that I've been going to some of these third world countries or some of these Spanish speaking countries, now I'm forced to now learn Spanish. It's funny, everything I was doing in English, and now I have a translator with me, and she's going back and forth, and now they're like DMing me, I guess, on Instagram, and I'm like, Google Translate, what does this mean?
What did they say?
So I do have to say, man, God has really been good, and just excited to see what this next part of my life has in store.
Wow.
Today's episode is sponsored by PJ Townsend Fam, who is an expert at providing purpose-driven content for faith-based organizations, nonprofits, as well as emerging and upcoming businesses.
So, Dr. Myers, I always say leaders are readers. I mean, being able to pick up a good book and read and understand and see the journey of those that are ahead of us, where they've gone, what they've done, how they've learned. You have an opportunity almost to be mentored and grow your business through books and through reading. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about a book that you've been bragging about called The Psychology of Money. This book has been a life-changing, game-changer, eye-opening, all those great things. And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the eye-opening things that you got from this book that maybe you knew but didn't think that deep about it, or you're like, wow, I didn't know that? Because I want our audience to become readers and to see the benefit of picking up a really good book to help them expand their business. Can you share a little bit about this book with us, The Psychology of Money?
Yeah, so tell you how I got started on this book. A very good friend of mine, actually my best friend, in Atlanta, we have a group chat, and we're all talking about retirement, we're watching inflation change, and we're all trying to figure out about money, okay, finances for our families. And he said, man, I found this book. It's called The Psychology of Money. And I'll be honest with you, at first I was like, I know a lot about money. But I said, hey, I'll just read this book with you all just to, be a good sport.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing this book. And I'm going to tell you, this book opened up my eyes because there is a psychology to money.
Wow.
And I never thought about that. And I think sometimes I'm always asking myself, like, why do people do this? Why do people do this? Sometimes I'll have people come into my office and the whole family will have Jordans on their feet. And then she'll tell me she didn't have money to pay for her medicine.
Wow.
I'll have people that are renting a house from me, and they are 2 months behind, and they're constantly giving me stories on why they can't pay, and then they just went to Jamaica. And so again, I guess money and the psychology. It talks about how different traumas, different experiences of what happened in our life affects the way we view and how we see money. For me, I see money as a responsibility. So for me, I see money as an investment. I see money as a tool to take care of your family, but to do it in a responsible way.
Right.
So the way my dad always taught me about money is or I guess a better way to say it is, I had a good friend of mine that actually used to work for me, and he was a trust fund baby.
Okay.
And being a trust fund baby, his grandmother had left him $1 million in a life insurance policy.
Okay.
That $1 million made 10% every single year, which basically meant he got $100,000 every single year for the rest of his life, as long as he never touched
the $1 million.
The $1 million. And I always call that the bag. So you never want to touch the bag.
The bag, right. And especially as a business owner, you gotta have a bag.
You gotta have a bag. That bag is something that for a lot of us first generations, we did not have a bag already ready for us.
Exactly.
So we have to get the bag. So my thought in my training was to work to get the bag, and then let the bag make money for you. And that's just always been my thought. And I think a lot of times people are working and making money, but they're spending their money before they actually get the bag. So one of the biggest things in the book is it talked about compounding, and it talked about small things that we do each and every day add to something great, but you have to have time. And so the earlier that you start, they do different examples about Warren Buffett, and he talks about Warren Buffett at the age that he started investing, and he started so early that his money had time to compound. But a lot of people don't start until their 30s or to their 40s or 50s, and there's never too late.
But you don't have as much time.
There you go. So the money doesn't get enough time to compound.
Exactly. And especially if you're spending money trying to make money.
Yes. And I do understand that. So I always call it you're walking up the escalator backwards, because that escalator is still moving no matter what you're doing, and you got to use much more energy just to keep going through that. So that was one of the biggest things. One of the other most important parts of this book again was a part it talked about tailwinds. Okay, and they did a chapter about tailwinds, and I never really thought about it like this, and this kind of made so much sense, and I just fell out just laughing thinking about it. But they did an illustration of the Wright brothers, and the Wright brothers were trying to build this plane, and it's just like how NASA does with the space shuttle going into the air. And I used to see the space shuttle going up, and it would blow up within like a half a second or a second, and everybody was clapping, and I'm saying to myself, like, why are you clapping? This space shuttle blew up, you know? And it's called a tailwind, because what a tailwind does, it gives you information and allows you to process it so you can go and do it again. So in order for anything to succeed, it has to have tailwinds in order to get there. And I think sometimes we're hard on ourselves when we try something and it doesn't work, but those were tailwinds. Those were good things. Those are things that feeds back to us, to gives us information on how to change different things.
So it's not that it's a failure.
Correct.
It was a learning opportunity where you didn't know what not to do the next time.
That's it. And I always thought it was a failure, and it wasn't a failure. And
psychology.
Correct. Psychology. And just reading through the book, it changed my outlook on so many things. Oh my gosh, just so many different things. It talks also about how different things that happen in time, how it affects so many other things. So for instance, something that we're both dealing with right now is, think about the Donald Trump.
Yes.
He got shot. But think about if he had gotten assassinated, how that would have changed everything tomorrow and here on.
Forever.
Right. So it's just amazing how one thing can change everything. Or what if we went to war today? How that would change everything. And I think that we always assume that tomorrow is going to be the same as yesterday, and it's not. And that's something that I've been trying to get out of my head, out of my mind. So again, going back to the whole psychology of money, it just talks about those emotional things, what our parents went through, and different things.
And I think that helps us, and even sometimes hurt us as an entrepreneur when we're making decisions for our business.
Oh, totally.
It's a matter of how strong is your mindset. When you're building a business or trying to advance your business, it's a psychology around it.
It is.
And from what I've learned, I'll just tell on me, when I feel like the money's low or the opportunities aren't coming fast enough, I'll take some opportunities or devalue myself to make some more money.
That's right.
Instead of saying, I know my value, I know my worth. When I make money, make good decisions with that money, so you're not having to devalue yourself or lower your services because you feel you're financially behind.
You're right. And I'm going to tell you something, and that goes to me as well. When the money starts to go down, stress starts to kick
Yes.
up. And so even when COVID was going on and not many people were coming inside the office, I found myself saying, how can I decrease these hours here? Or, instead of going out to eat 3 days a week, we need to go 1 day a week. So, you're just trying to figure everything out.
The decision making that having money or not having money forces you to make.
It does. So I also think being an entrepreneur in these times where inflation is so high, I think that the individual has to do a few things. Mm-hmm. The first thing is I think that they really have to evaluate their own personal self. And when I say that is seeing what things that they actually really need and what they desire. Mm-hmm. And I say that for a couple
Which are two different things.
Yes, they are.
Two different things.
They are. Because right now, the money is not going to come as fast as sometimes as we think it's going to come. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to be able to work on a bare minimum. And everyone's bare minimum is different. Mm-hmm. The second thing is trying to do a partnership.
Okay.
And I say a partnership because
joint venture, collaborating with someone else.
Yeah, I think collaboration is very good. Even from really more from time's sake.
Okay.
I think that every individual has only so much time and they have only so many resources. And I think that we have different strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've learned about myself is what I'm very good at, and I'm not very good. So I'm not good with paperwork. Mm-hmm. I'm not good with writing grants. I'm not good with answering the phone.
You're not the administrative.
Yeah, I'm not administrative at all. Like, I'm totally not that. And I tell you this right here, when my staff is gone or when they're sick and I have to do those things, when they come back, I give them the biggest hug. Girl, I missed you.
I appreciate you.
Yes, because I know that that's not me. And so again, you're going to
knowing your weaknesses.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I know people right now that are number one in their professions in what they do, but when they try to start a business, it doesn't go very well. Mm-hmm. And it's not because they're a bad person or this or that. It's just that I don't think they have totally evaluated their strengths and their weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And so partnering would be a better idea for them.
Yes, that's strong. That's strong. Because you could be the best chef. You could be the best makeup artist. Right. You could be the best doctor. But it's because you perfected and crafted that particular
That's
gift.
right. That's right.
And
that's
the
it.
little things
that's
that
it.
go with it.
That's it.
You hadn't focused on that.
That's it.
So if you need to see patients, you're focused and you've learned how to see patients.
That's right.
The calling, the small talk, the filing paperwork, the talking to the insurance companies, it's not what you do.
You're right.
Right. So when you're an entrepreneur, you have to decide, I know I can't be all things in my business. What is it that I'm really good at that I can do? And what are those things that I need to partner or hire someone else to do in order for me to continue to be successful?
And that also carries on not only from being an entrepreneur, but also in a relationship, is being able to recognize your strengths and weaknesses, and also having a partner that has strengths and weaknesses, and being able to
where they're different,
right?
Because if we're both strong in the same thing,
it can be ugly.
It
can be very ugly. It can be very ugly.
It can be very ugly. It could be very ugly.
Today's episode is sponsored by ACG Brand Management, a brand valued focus company that focuses on the value of brands for organizations as well as individuals.
One other point I did want to say in this book that was kind of interesting as I was reading it is there's an issue right now. We talk about LeBron James and LeBron James' son.
And his son, Bronny. I think they call him Bronny. Look at me. I know a little something, y'all. Bronny.
Well, in this situation, I think that every parent understands that we want to put our child in the best situation possible, you know. And so I'm very, very proud and very ecstatic to see LeBron being able to help put his son in that situation. However, on the flip side of that, most of the people that I've talked to that were 40 years ago or 60 years ago in my parents' age, they have a little bit of a different outlook, okay? And that outlook is they remember working in a job for 15, 20 years, waiting for a supervising position, training everyone, working longer hours, and a job being given to someone
that they didn't feel as qualified.
As qualified, right. And maybe they got that job because that is somebody's son, or got that job because it's someone's nephew, or whatever.
But they say sleeping your way to the top.
Right. And so a lot of individuals that grew up in that era, again, are happy for his son or happy for his dad being able to pay that way for his son. But on the flip side, they understand the hurt, and they understand the disappointment and the emotional stress that it put on for those individuals. So the book really talks about, depending on what time you lived in, whether you believe in the government or you don't believe in the government, they talk about, you know, the generation now, when you look at, you know, politics now, it's totally different from politics back then. You know, we always knew that, you know, things happened and it was dirty and different things of that nature, but we're seeing a whole different side of things now than then. So,
and it's scary.
It is.
It's almost like, you know, I've heard a lot of people joking, of course, me included. I'm going to Canada. I'm moving to Canada. Like, it's like, what are we going to do? But, you know, but we do have to consider the fact that our elders, you know, our great-grandparents, you know, those legacies left where they fought for us to be able to have the right to vote, to be able to choose and to live a specific life in order to be loving and kind and help others and doing the right thing. And I think we have to continue to push for that. Even in our business, as entrepreneurs, we make up a large enough percentage of the world that we can make some noise.
Yeah,
we can make some noise. And I think we have to stick with that if we're going to stay in the United States and not run to Canada, you know.
I agree.
One thing that I wanted to hit on in this book that we have not yet talked about, and I want to make sure that we hit it a little bit, is chapter 13. Chapter 13 talks about room for error. It says the most important part of every plan is planning on your plan not to go according to plan. When I say this is a great book, planning on your plan not to go according to plan. Now you have beat in my head playing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm like, this is crazy. I don't have to think that far out. But when you're reading this book as an entrepreneur, it really lays out some things for you that you wouldn't have learned in school. There are things in this book that they talk about are things that you don't want to make a mistake of. If you're making a mission plan or you're just starting your business or you want to enhance your business as an entrepreneur, you need to have a plan B, C, D, and E. Talk a little bit about your strategic plan and how you have been able to successfully be intentional about your business by planning on things not to go well and you making room for error. I think you're great at that.
That's a good one. I wasn't actually taught from a book about this. I just was taught more from experiences. I think because I have rental property and I have a couple pieces of rental property, I can pretty much tell you out of 10 properties, maybe 3 people pay on time.
And if you looking for that revenue to do something else in your business or to feed your family, you need a plan B.
Right. And I think when people have the ideas of business, they have more the optimistic kind of everybody's going to pay, or everyone's going to keep the house clean, or everyone's going to let you know when they're getting ready to move out,
Or come to their appointment on time.
Right, yes, definitely. So I think that in all fields of my life, I've dealt with so many people that I can pretty much tell you that most people are not going to do what they say they're going to do. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people want people to pay things in advance before they come. I know barbers sometimes, they got a little app now that you pay first and get that appointment. I know when I go to counseling sessions, you got to pay for it before. And again, I think a lot of things had to really come into place because people know that, oh, I forgot.
Or something came up. And as an entrepreneur, you're counting your dollars.
Right.
So a good entrepreneur makes plans for their plan not to work and have a different strategy to say. And to your point, that $25 deposit or that pay up front really does help hold that customer accountable, and it doesn't leave that business owner lacking.
I'll tell you this other little, again, I've done a fair share of things, but I got a very good friend of mine, was one of the best chefs here. He was working at Ruth Chris at the time, and I remember he wanted to open up a restaurant, and he came to me and said, hey man, I want my own restaurant. And I was like, and I ended up giving him, it was like $30,000 to start the restaurant.
Okay.
And he ended up, started getting everything. We got the building set up and everything was going well. And then all of a sudden, he got an offer from New York to come there to run some big fancy restaurant.
Okay.
Well, he ended up quitting the project with me and left to go there. But because he had no money in the game, I lost the $30,000 because he had no money in the game. So my rule of thumb is I never go into business or I never do anything with anybody unless they have to get in the game. Because again, if you got $20,000 in the game, you're not as quick to get up and leave your $20,000.
Exactly.
So that's why even with my renters, if I feel like that my renters are a little sketchy or I feel like that their credit is a lot higher, I want to get more money as a down payment or more money as a deposit than I would for somebody with good credit.
Exactly. And that just makes good business sense. But I will tell you, people get offended by that. But as a business owner, you have to stick to your rules and your policies. You play your game the way you want your business to run. And either people will roll with that and respect it or they won't. But you have to stick to it because when you relax those boundaries.
That's the word. I was going to say, that's the word.
You relax those boundaries.
Yeah. Know your boundaries.
Know your boundaries in your personal life as well as in your business.
You're right. You're right. And again, I know that boundaries are going to change. I know that you're going to want to help people. I know you're going to want, I'm dealing with a situation right now, trying to help somebody right now, and I know my boundaries,
And you have to know the boundaries before they happen.
Correct.
Like you have to say, let me set my boundaries now and know this is what I'm doing. I'm going to have this budget for marketing.
That's right. I'm
going to have this much money for philanthropy work. You have to know those things in advance before you start doing it because it'll take you down a rabbit hole.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. And you don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You do not want to go down. That's a whole nother show.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't go down the rabbit hole.
That'd be a good show. Don't go down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Well, this has been awesome. I'm so happy and honored to have you on the show of Easy Talk. One last question for you, for our audience. What does the next 10 years look like for Dr. Myers? You share with us that you've been in business over 20 years doing your chiropractic care. You have rental properties. You travel the world. What's next for you?
In all honesty, I'm having a big kick right now of teaching. I have quite a few interns have been working with me, and I know that they need help in some different areas. Financial literacy is one, and just trying to help make some good decisions. For me, it's not really about me even making any money. I feel like I've learned that I'm at a pretty stable place in my life. I think right now is really just more about just helping others achieve their goals.
Wow.
Whether that's in the fitness world, whether it's in the health world, or if it's in the financial world.
Well, I appreciate your heart. I thank you for spending time with us. I know you've got to get back to the office, so thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it, and I know our viewers and listeners have really enjoyed this time with you, so thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Well, viewers, thank you so much for joining us today in this episode. I hope you've learned something that can really help you enhance and grow your business. We look forward to you joining us on our next episode of Easy Talk for Real Entrepreneurs. And remember to share.